Hey guys, and welcome back to tutorial number 7 of this series. In today's tutorial we're going to speak about smart objects, and we're going to start by opening a new document and simply dragging a picture from our computer into Photoshop. Once I do that, I have a big X on my photo, which might look familiar to those of you who use Illustrator and use a Place Objects option. And before I click on Enter or on the V up here, I want you to pay attention to the Layers panel right here. Look what happens when I click on the V. What happens is I have a symbol here which indicates that this layer is a smart object. Now I'm going to bring this file into this document in a different way. I'm going to simply open the file in File, Open, and what will happen is it will open a new document which has only my flower photo. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this layer into my Untitled project right now. And what I have now is the exact same flower, but this time I do not have my smart object symbol. I'm going to move this one to the side. Okay, so pay attention. One of the most common things you do in Photoshop. I'm going to select both of my layers and click Ctrl T to transform. Then I'm going to click on the corner. While dragging Shift, I'm going to rescale my photos down to about this size, right? That's something you do almost all the time when you use Photoshop. And the second most common thing you probably do in Photoshop is, well, rescale it up again because it doesn't look good when it's small. Okay, fine, so let's just select both of our layers, click Ctrl T, and, rescale it up. And hey, what's that? The photo here on the left, which is not a smart object, is pixeled and not sharp anymore. You see, you can really see the pixels here in this picture, which I do not recall having in the smart object, which is nice and sharp compared to my other photo. Let's do this again just to exaggerate. Okay, I made them both small, and now I'm going to scale them up again. Now if you didn't see the difference before, I'm sure you can see the difference right now. Okay, now let's quickly understand why this happened. A smart object is smart. And why is it smart? It's smart because my smart object, this one here, is not an object directly inside of my document. What is it then? It is an object linked inside of this document, but it is not physically inside. Okay, now that is confusing. You must be thinking to yourself, okay, you're now talking nonsense. You're saying it's not physically here, but on the other hand, we can all see that it is here. So man, what's going on? Okay, so let's clear things up. When I double click on my smart objects layer, what Photoshop is basically telling us now is that after we edit the content of this file and we save it, those changes will be reflected upon the returning to Untitled 1. So I say thank you Photoshop, don't show me that again. Okay. Once I double clicked onto my smart object layer, I'm now inside of a new document. And what does this document have? Is my original flower.jpg. And this layer is not smart. So after we understood that we can scale and rescale our smart objects, the next thing I want to show is that you can also edit your smart object and it will be applied into the original document you're working in. So I'm going to make an adjustment here, and I'm going to do it up here on purpose, image adjustment. And I'm going to change my hue saturation. Let's change our flower to green, okay? I've never seen a green flower like that anywhere. But anyway, I'm going to click OK. And as you can see, I've made changes into my smart object, right? But in my original document, nothing has happened. The flower still has its original color. And why is that? As you remember, Photoshop told us we have to save our file, our original file, in order to apply the changes into our current document. So we're going to click on File, Save, and there we go. Our photo is green now. And we're going to thank this window here and close it. And we're back to our original document. And of course, since this is still a smart object, I can zoom it down and then decide I want to zoom it back up. And nothing will happen. It will stay beautifully sharp because it is not physically here. Now we understand that a bit better. Okay, now let's say I want to take the shortcut and not enter my smart object and then edit and then see the changes in my original document. Let's say I want to do the same thing here. I want to click on Image, Adjustments, and hey, what's happening here? Why is hue saturation in gray? Why can I not edit it? The reason is that adjustments through the image panel up here are applied directly on the photo. And since this picture is not really here, you cannot directly edit the file. Okay, now that's interesting. Maybe smart objects aren't that smart anyway. Well, no, they still are smart. The best way is to simply use an adjustment layer, which, as you remember from the adjustment layer tutorial, this does not directly edit my file. It adds an adjustment layer which is above my flower. And this adjustment layer will affect all of the layers underneath it, which means that if I have this pixel picture and I drag it underneath my adjustment layer, the adjustment layer will affect that as well. And as you remember, I can use a clipping mask to affect only the connected layer. But all that's in the adjustment layer tutorial. I'll not go into that anymore. Okay, so the next cool thing about Smart Objects is that since this file is not actually here, but is linked into this folder, I'll make this layer smaller, and I'll drag it and duplicate it using the Alt key. We'll do something like that. Okay, now let's say I want to make a change to all of these files. Let's say I want to add a circle into one of the objects. So as you might have guessed, I'll go into my Smart Object, and what I'm going to do now is make a nice, or actually not so nice, painting around one of my flowers. And when I go up to menu, save, look at my document, all the layers get this beautiful addition that I've created inside of my Smart Object itself. Okay, so that's another great thing about Smart Objects. Okay, now remember that my Smart Object is not directly editable, right? So I want to elaborate on that and explain a bit more what that means. That means that if I want to take the brush tool and make another drawing around this leaf here, Photoshop will not let me. As you can see, I have kind of a stop sign on my document. And when I want to start painting, Photoshop will tell me this Smart Object must be rasterized before proceeding. Edit contents will not longer be available. Rasterize the Smart Object. But before I click on OK, I want you to again pay attention to my Layers panel here. And look what happens to my Smart Object symbol here on my flower copy 4. I'm going to click on OK, and the Smart Object symbol is gone. And it's gone because this layer is no longer a Smart Object. Now this layer is directly and physically inside of this document, which means if I try to rescale this photo down and then up again, for example, it will be pixelated. It will be pixelated and not sharp and smooth anymore. So what I suggest is that you only rasterize a layer once you're sure that this is the scale of the file and you do not have multiple copies of this layer that you want to then edit. Once it is rasterized, you can paint on it as much as you'd like, because this file is kind of physically here and not embedded here or linked in here like our Smart Objects here, which can then be scaled and rescaled as much as you like, and it will always stay sharp. Okay, that's it for now. I hope you've learned what a Smart Object is, and I hope this helps you next time you drag a photo into Photoshop and see this symbol. You'll know what it is, and of course it's a method of work which can really help you out in lots of different cases. Don't forget to subscribe and comment on this video. Check out the Facebook page and the blog where I'll post this picture which you can take and try all this stuff yourself. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I'll see you back again in tutorial number 8 of this series. Until then, bye bye.